Hey everybody, welcome to WhyBuy. Let's write a song in GarageBand. Okay, GarageBand. It's been a while since I've started a completely new project, but I'm going to walk you through some of the stuff you should do right off the bat. So open a new project. So if you're connecting an instrument, if you're using a MIDI keyboard, and you're going to be, typing, creating instruments. But I always like to start with the little guitar and amp here. I typically do inputs 1 and 2 because that's how many the Scarlett has. So one for the microphone, the other one for the guitar. You can go into your computer settings right from here and it'll ask you or say what input and output devices you have. So right now I have built-in output, which is the computer speakers, because that's what I listen through my headphones. You could select the Scarlett i2 if you're monitoring from the i2, but I find that the quality of sound for the finished product with GarageBand, it's better to listen through the computer speakers. Plus, if I'm adding other instruments like piano or strings and I'm manually inputting those with a MIDI keyboard or the actual keyboard, then I can still hear them as well. So I just leave it on built-in output, and then of course the input device is a Scarlett i2. So we're pretty much, I'd say we're set to start here. So we'll create, and now we have kind of our first setup here, and the first guitar that it's bright and clean. So let's see what that sounds like on. Let's see here. Okay, so I got my MIDI plugged in. Yeah, it's nice. The reason I really like this is to tune up your guitar. So if you go into this little tuning fork, it's got a built-in tuner in GarageBand, and yeah, my suggestion is go through, make sure you're, relatively in tune here for everything. It's not the greatest tuner on the planet, but it actually is pretty good for a free built-in software. So, good starting point there. So let's go through some of the instruments that I like to use right off the bat. So world's smallest amp is something that I use a lot for intros and kind of, midpoints in the song. It could be a bridge at one point, but it's got this really cool... So that's when I usually have loaded up. So where do you go from here? Well, now you want to keep adding additional instruments so that, obviously you don't want to be changing the setup that you have on one line. So we're going to add another one. Same thing with the guitar. And for this one, I usually like doing something that, is still clean, but it might provide a little bit more of a bass tone. Again, you never know what you're going to need. This spin speaker sounds really cool on its own. It's got this, I don't know, it reminds me of I don't know what it reminds me of, maybe like a JC120 with a vibrato. Sounds pretty cool. And let's get into some actual rock type stuff. So One of the ones that I really enjoy using is our Big Brute Blues. Some pick action. It's got that really nice crunch tone that you may want to use. You may not, but that's one I suggest. The go-to for rock music that I always use is, it's actually in distorted guitar. It's called Stadium Spread. And this one is like by far my favorite one. I find the reverb is a little heavy off the top, so in its stock form, I just go down here into the controls and I just back off that reverb and turn off the echo. Because when you're layering all these guitars together, if you get too much room and too much of a hall effect, you won't be able to hear what's going on in the final song. That's better. I really enjoy that one. And in fact, sometimes what I'll do is I'll duplicate it. And this way, if I want to, say, like have a solo part or something that has a little bit more reverb, if I remember, if I can see it here, duplicate track. New track with duplicate settings. That's the one. So same track, you know, settings, but now I'm starting to tweak, you know, increasing that reverb now, maybe introducing back the echo, and even if I wanted to like really crank up that reverb. And that's, you know, again, it's always good if you have like a go-to play track, duplicate it and tweak it a bit, and then when you play them both together, you can get a really nice full sound that sounds like, you know, you have two lead guitarists or, you know, a rhythm and a lead guitar. Okay, so this one is something that I started doing a little while back that really changed the overall sound and tone of the music, especially when you don't have a bass guitar. What do? It's really hard to fake a bass if you don't have one. But what I found is under the crunch, so this is basically an octave pedal that drops the tone of the guitar. Now from default, it's got a distortion on it. So I was like, okay, well that's what I need to get, but what I don't want is that distortion muddying up the lead guitar. So you can just turn that off. Now the issue here is once you turn that distortion off, because there's a compressor running on this setting, it goes really, really quiet and you pretty much don't hear the bass. Even if you turn the volume up all the way, it'll still be too quiet. So if you hit A on the keyboard, it just breaks down your volume settings for the different effects that you have on that line. So I just go into here and I can actually go into the gain, but what I'm going to do is go into the EQ and go master gain. This way I can really control the overall output of this line. And now I'm starting to get, you know, I'm going to switch my pickups here. Now I have the right volume to match the other instruments that are in this song. So this kind of brings up an entirely new point. When you're messing around, if it's your first time doing this and you're just adding in these kind of preset amps and tones, they already come kind of pre-bundled with these pedals to achieve that distinct sound. But if you want to tweak and mess around with effects, you can always go into this pedal board and, you know, make adjustments as you see fit, or take them out. Like if I don't want this compressor in here, I'll just, you know, drag it back into the pedal board. If you hover over the pedals, it gives you a description, which is nice, because just looking at the pictures for the first time, you wouldn't know what the hell anything is. You know, I just realized where the mic's positioned. You're probably hearing more guitar string slapping than you are the actual output from the speakers, so I apologize for that. But anyways, this is just for demonstration purposes, so don't hold that against me. I'm trying to think of what else would be helpful to know. Oh, the drums. Yes, that's okay, so yeah, could be something there. Let's try to write a brand new song.